Ladies and gentlemen, Caravan fans, it is Matt Malloy and Marty Mann back for
Here we are.
another basketball season.
Let's do
Marty,
it.
football just wrapped up, and you know you're on the team, so we
Mhm.
we ended that one on a very high note. Back
Mhm.
to back to back 7A state champions. Marty is a tight end and red hat on the team. You just finished your senior season. How'd that all go?
That was pretty awesome. I mean, great way to go out. Excuse me. It was kind of a different type of feel with the season. Wasn't as easy compared to the other two state championship rides. Faced a lot more adversity, but I feel like that's what made it the most enjoyable out of the three state championships. So.
Absolutely. This was the only team in Mount Carmel football history to win a state championship with 3 losses.
Mm.
Prior to this, the first 15 state championships we won, we either had 2, 1, or no losses in that game heading into the playoffs. Um, as far as basketball goes, with state championship hopes, wins, and losses, we obviously went down in '85 and
Yep.
won off of that buzzer beater, and then we didn't come back. Right, we didn't head back downstate until just last year. So a very long gap in which Mount Carmel basketball struggled to find success. We went through a lot of head coaches, a lot of, I'll call them superstars, right?
Mm.
Big names like Antoine Walker, but they couldn't get a ring on their finger. They still went on to have incredible careers, but as far as their time at Mount Carmel goes, it just wasn't at that state championship level. Now Coach Segroves, he's completely rebuilt the program. Marty, you and I talked about this a lot last year during their big playoff run, in which there was last-second shots, buzzer beaters, overtime winners over St. Pat's at UIC. Very exciting run. But it got cut short on March 9th of this year, where we fell to the Rams from DePaul College Prep. So that's a fellow Catholic League team, which we will get into later. Marty, there's a lot of key parts that we lost, and there's a few that we kept. And there's a few that came from the lower levels in different schools that are all coming together to this varsity team. I'm sure a lot of people out there would are projecting that we're not going to go back just because we lost certain guys. And after seeing how we've done so far, though, I'd say there's a shot. Right, we're in 3A. And there's already been a few teams in 3A that have been struggling. They've lost a couple of big games. Caravan are undefeated right now. 2 weeks ago, we headed up north to Loyola and New Trier for their annual Thanksgiving Day tournament. And we won. We won our pool, and then out of our pool, we went and played the winner of the other pool, which was New Trier. We beat them by 16 points on that Saturday championship game. We'll get into some stats in just a bit, but I think there's one stat you got to know right now is that we didn't come out flat at all. A couple of big wins. So, Marty, now that we're entering not so much neutral site play, this is where it really becomes high school basketball.
Yeah.
How do we continue that success? How do we continue the notion that we deserve we deserve our name in that conversation of, hey, who are the big teams in 3A this year?
Well, I'm going to interrupt you first by I just realized that your chair is a lot higher than mine, so I'm going to lift that up a bit. But yeah, definitely looking at last year's team, we had those guys that we were able to lean upon in times of trouble. I mean, obviously, the big name, obviously, Angelo Cheravino, who's now at Northwestern University. But looking at this year's team, these three faces – me and Matt have talked a lot about. They're guys that we've seen a lot last year, and they're what we call our big three. It's Noah Mister, Grant Best, and Cam Thomas. Just looking at the stats right now from these first 4 games in the Thanksgiving Day tournament, these guys are the point leaders by it's not even close. You got Grant averaging 19 points per game, Cam averaging 16, Noah averaging 16, and then that's it. The rest of the guys are single digits. No shame in that, but it's already proven that we know who these guys are that are going to lead our team, and we know. I think Coach Segroves already. I'm sure he's already known for a while, but these are the guys we shape the team around, and we help support with. You got guys like Keith Jenkins. He's going to be our big man in the middle, getting rebounds for these guys. You got guys like Dylan Fulbright who are going to be the guys leading the court, um, even getting steals on defense, getting the fast break going to these guys like we saw last year. So yeah, these are going to be the three guys that we're going to lean upon the most in order to make it back down to Champaign, hopefully.
Yeah, and Marty, I don't want to get too controversial or anything, but I think the one thing I love most about the Big Three is that they're pretty much, for the most part, all homegrown guys.
Mm.
They've been here for a lot of time. Noah Mister transferred in last season, but we kind of forget that sometimes because he's just one of the guys now.
Yeah.
Right? He's just on the team. He has been for that entire season last year for pretty much. Joined a little late, but he was there for the big games. He was there for the big moments. Now he has solidified himself as a starter. Not only a starter, he's kind of in this different tier. These are the three guys, absolutely, that, like you said, and like you said with Coach Segroves, he knows we have to build the team around this. Cameron Thomas was here for our freshman year. These are, by the way, for the Big Three, two of them are seniors, and then one of them is a junior. That junior is Noah Mister. So some leadership, too, there by Grant Best and Cameron Thomas. But Cam Thomas was here at MC for his freshman year, left his sophomore year to go down south to a different type of school. And then he came back, though, for the past 2 seasons. And now for his senior year, he is 100% committed to trying to get back to where he was in March. Grant Best, I think, out of the three guys, this is the guy you can rely on the most. Noah has got that crazy three-point shooting range from all the way out the volleyball line, which is the accuracy for it is pretty insane too. Cam Thomas is he's kind of, I see him and Grant as this duo inside the trio.
Yeah.
They've been playing with each other for a long time. They're both seniors, so they know how to lead. They've had roles like that. Overall, Cam, might be one of the most athletic guys, not only on our team, but in our conference, in the state. I mean, I don't know. The more and more I look at it, yeah.
Talking about Cam, I'm remembering from kind of the summer, and I think even the fall year. I'm not too sure. I think it was a coach or a trainer that came in to help work on every guy in the team's vertical, and kind of finding our new guy that we can lean upon to get a slam dunk. But folks, it's probably going to be Cam is going to probably be our guy if we need a little flashy dunk or something, kind of like what we saw with Angelo last year. That's going to be Cam now. He stepped up in that, and I mean he can use that vert not even for dunking, but also just getting blocks.
Yeah.
I was watching a little bit of tape from the New Trier, the Thanksgiving tournament, the championship game against New Trier. Cam was jumping up 6'5" guys shooting a little layup. Cam's all the way up there blocking the ball.
Yeah.
So as much as our team might be a little, I think we can rotate to this now. Our team's going to be a little undersized compared to how it was last year, which, don't get me wrong, we've done it before. We've dealt with it before.
Yeah.
But if you got guys like Cam and Grant who are showing hustle on defense, jumping up in the air for rebounds and steals, it's going to make ourselves just as competitive as last year's team too.
Blocks. Stats for blocks.
Yeah.
Cameron, first place through 4 games. He has 7. Who's at second? It's George Gray with 2. So it's a huge gap. It's very notable, and it's very expected that Cameron would be up there. He's been working hard, like you said, getting his vertical up, not only for the offensive side of the ball, but for the defensive side too. So just to kind of sum it up, Noah, Grant, and Cam are the big 3 on this team, the big trio that we got to rely on. And they all have their own attributes that make them a special and unique leader for this team. It's very similar to last year, where there was a system we had of guys. They were leaders on the team and they had a specific role. I just think this year it's a lot more highlighted, bolded, like it is right there in your face that these are the 3 best players on the team, and it's going to be up to the supporting cast now to get in there. Like Eddie Ryan, he'll get in there, take a charge, foul somebody, get a layup, and then get back out there so we can have Keith come back out there, get some more size or something like that.
Yeah.
Where we're rotating. So I really like the rotations we have this year. I really like the fact that we'll leave Noah in there to just keep gunning threes, and then for maybe those other two spots besides the big three, we can keep switching guys in and out. Luke Segroves made a three in his first game,
Mm-hmm.
and we were all kind of expecting him. Right, is coming off of a sophomore season where I wouldn't say he was like the number one guy on the team,
Yeah.
right? Came up to varsity, and he's got to get into it. What better way to get into it than to make a shot in your first game? Charlie Wingate is playing great. I could go on about all these guys, but the supporting cast we have, I mean, they play so well with the big three we have.
Yeah.
They play right into it, and I wouldn't necessarily say they help Grant, Noah, and Cam. They just flow very well with them. So I'm very excited for the roster we have. I know we've still have some changes. With transfers and things like that. It happened last year, and I think it's happening this year again. We won't get into that until later on in the season, though. However, things can change, but as far as right now goes, I think it can only get better from here. We can only add more talent. We can only change our rotations and substitutions to make it so we just play a better game overall. Yeah.
Yeah, you said it spot on with talking about. I'm going to compare it to like almost like Madden, like the X factors that each guy on the team has. As far as the big three, I got written down Grant Best, all around hustler. You can trust him with doing anything on the court. Cam Thomas, mid-range demon.
Yeah.
If you can, like, even that goes to another one of my points. Ball movement is going to be key for this team. With being a little shorter than normal, if we can get good ball movement that's led by our guards and Noah Mister and Dylan Fulbright to work the ball around and open up the middle of the floor for guys like Cam, or open up the outside the arc for guys like Noah, that's going to be crucial for us just to put more and more points on the board. And then our last guy, Noah Mister, a three-point master. And it's kind of just like the three phases of the game that are specialized in three of our guys. But you said it, Matt, with having a good supporting cast. Your best players can only take you so far.
Right.
For any sort of team, and that goes for any sport. And having a good supporting cast and guys like Kyle Chevalier, who's coming off the bench in some of those games from last week. Excuse me. Dylan Fulbright, he's on the starting lineup, but he's not one of those main featured guys
Right. Yeah.
that kind of get the offensive focus of the game.
Yeah.
But there he comes on defense with getting a lot of steals, but not even just steals. Like, it's not even on the stats. Sometimes just locking
energy.
up. And
Yeah.
giving energy, locking up that point guard.
Yeah.
And then I'll put on one last point before I hand it back over to you. There's two younger guys that we're looking at that can kind of slowly but surely find their role, their true role in the team. I'm looking at 6'2" guard Logan Wessel. He's a sophomore. He's number 30, by the way. Be on the lookout. And then number 10, junior George Gray. He's 6'4", another guard forward. These are guys that are going to get in the rotation, that are hoping to, I mean, eventually as their time at Carmel goes on, to be those starters that we can rely on. But as for this season, they're trying to find their role in being a part of the supporting cast and just finding minutes in each game in order to secure some wins against some of those good opponents.
You know, Marty, I don't want to throw my guy Logan under the bus or anything. Incredible player. But 2 weeks ago when we were down at this tournament, Coach is like, Logan, you're going in. And it was during a timeout, so he sits down on the bench, and I just see the hand start shaking a little bit. And I think, and I was expecting, like, oh, what's going to happen here? He went and he played great. You know, he went in there. I think he had a steal or two, went down. It was so strange to watch because the same thing happened with a couple of guys you just mentioned. Luke Segroves, I know I already mentioned him, but him and Logan, this was their first time playing on varsity. You know, they did great freshman and sophomore year, but this is it now, right? This is where it matters. And they were like a little, on the bench there, being like, all right, when am I going in? Am I going to get any minutes? Sure enough, they go out there. They didn't look nervous to me. They looked extremely confident. They looked like they fit in, and that just comes from practicing.
Yeah.
That comes from knowing your role. That comes from playing off of the guys we mentioned, Cam,
Mm.
Grant, and Noah, who are there to help these guys out. It was a great way to start the season, and something I want to full circle here because that's basically what we're doing. Is this is just a strict overview. Sure we've played 4 games, but once we get into these gritty Catholic
Yes.
League matchups, that's when we're going to know the true potential we have heading into the later months, like February and March. On your screen there, it says new team, new strategy. What works? I'll tell you what works. It's not a lot from last year.
Mm.
It's a drastic
Very
change in the
different.
roster. It's a drastic change in the coaching staff. It's a drastic change in this vibe overall. Coach Segroves has never had a season where the following one, it's almost like he has more to prove, I guess I'll say, right?
Mm.
It's always been just this linear progression for Coach Segroves. He's taken a 5-win team to an 8-win team, and then he broke that 10-win mark, that 15-win mark, 20-win mark, and then last year goes out there, gets 32 wins. Obviously, a handful of losses in there, but it almost feels like we're projected to somehow be worse than last year when the rankings come out and the standings come out and everything. But Marty, you said it. You can have one guy on your team that is a dog. He's very good. That doesn't mean you're going to win the championship, though. You can see it even in our own state with high school football. Some of the highest ranked players, 5 stars, going to these big programs. Their team lost in the quarterfinals or semifinals because it's a team effort. And in basketball, it even goes deeper than that. It's an intimate sport, which was I think that's a great word to describe it. I actually heard that from Coach Segroves. Like, this is intimate,
Yeah.
You got to be into it with your guys. So I think chemistry is flowing the more and more we get into the season. And now let's head into, though, we've talked about what changed.
Yeah.
We've talked about what works. Here are the keys to actually winning, though. Like here are the keys to actually winning some of these big games. Because one thing I can't stop thinking about whenever I think about Mount Carmel basketball is 9 points. Right, we lost by 9 points in that championship game to
Yeah.
DePaul. How could we have gotten 10 more points, or how could we have held them to 9 less, or what happened there? What happened in the game? Because honestly, on paper, it seemed so equal. It seemed like such an equal fight, right? We've got Northwestern commit Angelo Cheravino. Sure, they've got guys too, though, that were at that same standard.
Yeah.
Now this year we have Air Force commit Grant Best. So I think the first key to success, obviously, is we saw it last year. We played off of Angelo. He was kind of that number 1 guy. Let's play off of these starters.
Yes.
And what I mean by that is those X factors we were talking about. We try to not force anything here, Play the game that they know best, right? And I don't mean, get flashy or anything, right? Just run not so much boring basketball, because I don't think Mount Carmel plays much boring basketball. I've announced a lot of games, and I'd say pretty much every single one is exciting. So my first key from me is just we got to play to our strengths here. And we've talked about it already in this show so much. Our strengths is that those big 3 we have and the supporting cast and the way they play together, the way that they integrate each other's games out there on the court. That's the first key.
I'll build off your first key with talking about playing to the strengths. With being, I know I keep saying it, but it's going to make a difference. Being undersized compared to how we had the size last year, with this year being a little more undersized, those strengths are going to be very key. And the ability or the necessity to keep those strengths throughout the entire length of the game is going to be crucial in order to win, like completely winning a game. Not like taking a dip down and like waking up saying, okay, let's go back and win a close game. It's going to take a hustling throughout the entirety of the game, using those strengths, and having like everyone else too. Like that goes for not even just the guys we talked about in the big 3, but the guys like Keith and Dylan. Not saying they have, but to keep the intensity and hustle throughout the entire game. That's going for lockup defense, rebounds. Uh, it's just your way of uh, challenging the size of other teams. That's their strength, whereas our strength would be, hey, we hustle on
Yeah.
every single play. And if we do that, that's going to allow us to win some of those closer games, like Catholic League opponents like DePaul Prep. So
Yeah. Hustle is key. I think on offense we hustle enough because we want to put the ball in the hoop. I
mm,
think where hustle becomes maybe questionable is when we're back on defense. I
yeah,
think after watching last season and then 2 weeks ago, I think sometimes where we might get slipped up is defensive formations and where we're all supposed to be. Are we in man? Are we in zone?
mm,
It's a lot harder when your goal is to stop somebody from scoring than when your goal is let me go down the alley and put the
yeah,
ball in the hoop. So
mm,
that's where we got to lock in. We have to stay focused because those games we lost last year, the one that sticks out to me the most is Brother Rice. I think our
mm,
offense did great. It was our defense though.
yeah,
We failed to shut down key players
mm,
from the opposing team, and ultimately that led to a loss. Which, by the way, folks, we'll get into it in a little bit about future games. The Caravan have not beat the Crusaders since a few years ago when Marty and I were freshmen.
freshman, yeah,
So they have a 2-game win streak over us. We're trying to break that. We have a home game this year. It's the last game
mm,
of the regular season, so not until February 14th,
14th,
a Friday night. So that's the regular season finale. This is payback for us, and it's also to prove that, we lost some key players. We can still go out and beat you. So,
mm,
key, like you said, though, hustle, hustle, hustle on defense, especially. I think, another key that I would have is this is a long season. This is a
mm,
very long season. I think when you look at other sports, football, we succeed in that, and I think being around the team so much and being around the program, what I would have to say is one of the biggest reasons for the program's success is how organized it is.
yeah,
Time wise, I don't think a single minute is wasted throughout the
mm,
week. It's almost like everything goes towards the game and the mission at hand. It's a little bit different setup, right? You play once a week on a Friday or a Saturday. Here we are on Tuesday. We could play a team that has 2 wins, and then that Friday night, it's like this is the biggest game of the season. So
mm,
um, we have to start putting things in perspective. I think perspective is a really big thing. We have to start treating every game like it matters. We can't
yes,
walk in. We can't walk into a place and be like, "We beat these guys last year." It's like,
mm,
well, yeah, last year we also had a completely different vibe about ourselves. We had a
mm,
completely different roster. So I think we got a target on our back. And what that means is you got to keep your hands right in front of your face the entire season long. It's a long season.
yeah.
Starts late November, ends late February. So we got to be locked in the entire time, pretty much. Yeah.
And that's what it's going to take against some of these bigger CCL opponents, which at the end of the day, talking about the season's long, but the games that matter the most are the CCL opponents, and
Yes.
that's where you're going to have to play a complete game. And Coach Segroves, he knows that. It's just getting the new team to realize it's a new strategy this year, new approach. We got to be all in for each game and have the support. And we keep saying it, the big three in the supporting cast come together and come as one and give it an all hustle every game.
Yeah. I mean, overall, the biggest key is still winning, right?
Mm,
We got to find ways to do that. And it's completely different change in roster. Not only have we changed, but the other teams have changed as well over the
mm,
course of the past few years. Uh, you know, looking ahead right now, this is for this week. Tomorrow night, if you're watching this on Monday, we will be playing Providence. This is our first Catholic League matchup. This is a test for us, really.
mm,
Providence right now, they only have 1 win. However, like I said, there's a target on our backs. These guys can watch film about us and be like, Last year they had Angelo and Trey. This year they don't. Here's how we can now attack that differently. So,
Mm.
big target on our back for this game. First Catholic League matchup. We really got to see how we play against them. Hopefully, we'll take down the Celtics because then Friday night we're just rolling on to these big games. We've got De La Salle. We beat those guys last year in the
Mm.
sectional championship. I do remember around halftime, kind of close. We took the game in the second half, which
Mm.
was kind of a common theme last year.
Yeah.
I don't really see any themes so far throughout the first 4 games we've had. I'm
Mm.
sure as we go on throughout the season, we'll start to see, are we a second quarter team? Are we a first half team altogether? But then we come out of halftime and we're like, we lost it from the first 2 quarters. We don't know yet. So
Mm.
we're still looking into that. But these 3 games right here will help us build the basis of how we'll play games in the future.
Mm.
So the biggest game this week is this Saturday versus Whitney Young for the Team Roast Shootout. I love that Carmel gets to host this. We
Yeah.
see a ton of big players throughout the entire city, and we usually get one of the bigger matchups, which is awesome. So a packed gym, right? A lot of scouts, a lot of
Mm.
media attention right here at our home court, which is going to be really fun. Yeah.
I think since we're talking directly to the fans who care most about the basketball season, note about that game. It's supposed to start at 6 p.m.
Yes.
but we're not. It all depends on what time the previous game before ends. Because last year we played right after the Brother Rice Bloom Township game, and that one went into triple overtime.
We started.
So
Yeah.
just a heads up, but it'll be a great matchup. I know Whitney Young's had some really good competition, not only this year, but they've always scheduled some really tough games, and this should be a pretty good squad to
Yeah.
really show who we are in front of a good crowd. Some scouts maybe, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Dolphins, man. When you walk in their gym, they got banners all over that wall of, boys and girls teams, both
Yeah.
programs just killing it. And,
Mm.
they haven't really lost any juice from the past. Like, they haven't fallen off the cliff at all.
Mm.
Still up there as a competitive team. Last year, I think was one of their worst years in a while, but
Mm.
they're kind of regaining some ground. So this is a great test for us.
Yeah.
These are the first 3 really big tests where we're going to be at home for all 3 of these games. One of them obviously is for a big shootout, so it's going to be a different feel. But yeah, 2 weeks ago, all neutral sites. We're driving up north. Now we're all staying here at home. These are going to be really big matchups. Some other ones though. St. Lawrence, Montini, another
Mm.
Catholic League team. Brother Rice, like I mentioned. We play DePaul at home as well. We go away to St. Ignatius on a Friday night, which, man, for our time here
Should
at
be pretty
Carmel,
fun, yeah.
St. Ignatius always seems to be the team that, no matter the sport, they put up a fight.
Mm.
I've never played a St. Ignatius team, or I've never announced the game where it's like this is a given game. It's never that way. I don't want to get too specific, but there's probably one game you and I both have in mind right now. But
Yeah.
the more and more you get into it, I want to head into Wolfpack territory and beat those guys because it's not a hate thing; it's a love thing. It's a love thing. I always say that about football rivalries. And Christos Themis, who's on the team, he's got a great saying. He said, without St. Rita, there'd be no Mount Carmel.
Sure.
Without a rival, your school would not have as big of a following for your team or as big of this feel. So, if we got to be better than our rivals. We struggled with that even at kind of our peak. When we're at the peak of the mountain, we still couldn't take down those Crusaders. So we're hoping to do that this February.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I think just looking at some of these home games you guys are going to be able to watch on our broadcast network is I think it's later down. I'm not sure. Is it February? DePaul College Prep is coming to town. It should be I'm hoping a really packed gym, knowing that it was state championship rematch. That should be pretty big crowd and pretty exciting game. I'm pretty excited for that one. But then you said it earlier, Brother Rice is coming to town. Last time we beat him was when they were here in 2022, Yes,
Would have been,
2022.
yeah.
So that was, yes, you said it, our freshman year. But yeah, these are going to be some good CCO games to watch. They're going to be
Very good.
true team testers, not
Yeah,
talent testers, team testers. And that comes down to Coach Segroves' ability to bring this team together, which he's been doing a great job of in the past few years.
definitely. We're still testing the waters here, because I think the thing that I like most about this year, maybe not like, but the thing that's most intriguing to me is Mount Carmel basketball has never, in recent years, they've never had this feeling of like we're coming off of a state championship run, even though we're runners up, right? Um, how do we do better than last year? There's only one way to do better
That's
is to
true.
win the whole thing.
Mm.
There's been years where, hey, we lost in the regional championship. Next year's goal is to win regionals and maybe a little bit more. But now there is no little bit more. The little bit more is the whole thing.
That's
So
true.
it's really hard to stay motivated almost when you lose a lot of key players, you lose a lot of talent. I think it's a great thing though that Coach Segroves is just, he's keeping these guys in check. He's like, hey, I know when you go on your phone and you go to the rankings from somewhere, it's like we are down there. We're down
Yeah.
there. You got to black all that out. You have to black everything out. Go prove it out on the court. And I know, we're just very repetitive, but we've got our seniors, we've got our guys that
Yeah.
want to lead us, and these younger guys too, with just a lot of confidence. So I'm really excited. Marty and I will not be announcing tomorrow's game. We will be going on a Kairos retreat, so we will have those games on Friday and Saturday though for you. Really excited for those to get back up on the track and announce some basketball.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see these younger guys in action. Right, every year there's new faces. So Logan Wessel, George Gray, and then also some fan favorites, some familiar faces. Eddie Ryan, Kyle Chevalier, Cameron, Noah, Grant. Everybody has a role on this team, and I'm just excited for hoops to
Yeah.
put it all together.
You pretty much said it, but that's kind of my favorite part about this year's team is we kind of already know who we're going to base our team around, and that's a really good thing. It's up to the guys that are going to be the supporting cast, and those 6 and 7 spots on the roster. It's going to be up to them for these first few CCL games. I mean, the Thanksgiving games, yeah, they were kind of like an introduction, but this is where Chapter 1 starts, and that's tomorrow night.
Absolutely. So tune in tomorrow night at 5:30 for our sophomore broadcast. Those guys are jumping right, right to the deep end as well. They've got some big matchups coming up, and then of course our varsity broadcast, which tip off is set for 7:00. So, this has been your season preview show for the basketball season from Marty, Mann, and I. Marty, excited for another great year.
Very excited as well.
I'm hoping for some big wins. Right now, though, we're focusing on these 3 teams one day at a time, one game at a time, 1 week at a time even. This is a real long season, and I hope you enjoyed this show. This is pretty much going to be the basis for the season. We're building off of the guys we have. So we came up short last year, but Marty, if you ask me, I think we still got it this year. Yeah. High hopes, high expectations, even higher talent in these matchups coming up soon for a first broadcast tomorrow night, Tuesday, versus Providence Catholic. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We hope to see you tomorrow at the game.
Go Caravan.